Chandrayaan, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday at 6:04 p.m., our lander Vikram Sarabhai's actual feat, they landed on the lunar surface. It was a successful, flawless braking phase, the descent phase, and after that, the celebration that has ensued, the festivities that ensued. I'm sure there were parties that happened
There was
elsewhere.
also, I was looking at some of the headlines, and you were just pointing out, the moon is Indian, is what the Indian Express has put out. I got the Tribune. The Tribune has a very interesting headline over here. It says, Moon Mentis.
Moon Mentis, yeah. Not momentous.
Momentous, but
Moon
Moon
Mentis.
Mentis. And that's a very interesting headline that is there completely on the banner section as such.
India goes where no nation's gone before. Ace of space. Our movement in the sun. Pole
so
position
someone has taken
is
it.
first to land in the southern polar region of moon. Usually you give a pole position in racings, in races, and in racing sports. In Formula 1, in MotoGP, you get a pole position for beginning the race on the front position. But India's at the pole position on the south pole.
And Hindustan Times has got something like Chandrayaan 321 contact, and all of them explaining how it has been intense, 18 minutes for this timeless milestone. Vikram lands at 6:03 p.m. Of course, you have mentioned about it. Grand moment of success for India. India is on the moon. Celebrations across the country. I mean, the kind of prayers and the kind of rituals that was followed to ensure that it was a success. It became an issue of national pride. Now, the best part of it is that we have reached a place where many of the nations have not been able to reach. First, in the southern polar region of the moon. The Chinese have been able to be on the far side of the moon. We are first to be on the southern side of the moon, and a place where it is speculated that water is present and also probably build up our colonies over there, because water, once you break them into hydrogen and oxygen, technically becomes rocket fuel, and otherwise it is also the source to sustain life if a colony is possible on that region. So all the data that we are going to collect is going to be momentous for humanity as a whole, who probably is looking at into the stars right now.
And well, take a look at this. Chandrayaan 3's landing, ladies and gentlemen. Chandrayaan 3's landing on the moon south pole broke the Spanish streamer IBAI's world record of 3.4 million viewers. According to IBAI, at 5:53 p.m. yesterday, just minutes before the lander Vikram landed on the moon surface, more than 5.6 million viewers were watching its soft landing live streamed on ISRO's official YouTube channel.
That is the thing. I'm just taking one.
That record has been broken.
So I thought I'll bring in some regional news as well.
Right, absolutely.
So in Kannada Prabha, what is written is this: Chandrayaan Muru lander Ninda Horabanda Pragyan Rover ISROge NASA Putin Seri Ganyarinda Abhinandan. Said that the lander has come out, and ISRO has been completely in the limelight of success, and they have been appreciated by Putin as well as NASA. But some of those interesting tidbits that you've just pointed out have also been taken by this Kannada newspaper. It says YouTube ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ದಾಖಲೆ ಬರೆದ ಚಂದ್ರಯಾನ್ 3 ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ನೇರ ಪ್ರಸಾರದ ವೀಕ್ಷಣೆ. In the sense, it has, like you pointed out, one of the highest viewership of broadcast on YouTube. So I think that just broke the records like anything for YouTube itself. Chandrayaan 3 ಯಶಸ್ವಿ ಚಂದ್ರನ ಮೇಲೆ ವಿಕ್ರಮ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ ಸೇಫ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಐತಿಹಾಸಿಕ ಕ್ಷಣ. ಚಂದ್ರಯಾನ್ 3 ಮಿಷನ್ ಚಂದ್ರಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಶಿಸಿದ ನಂತರ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ ವಿಕ್ರಮ್ ಮತ್ತು ರೋವರ್ ಪ್ರಗ್ಯಾನ್ ಕೆಲಸವೇನು. Instead, they're asking what is going to be the mission task for Pragyan. So, of course, an elated Prime Minister has also been mentioned over here. But
Times of India has put out, a list of moon and sci-fi movies. Landing on moon has long been figured in literature and movies. From the Earth to the moon, some lists, part of that list, The Man Who Sold the Moon, Voyage dans la Lune, A Trip to the Moon, Frau I'm Mond, Girl in the Moon, A Fall of Moon Dust, Diamonds Are Forever. This page essentially says, now, well, let's build on the moon. And even as we're witnessing all these visuals, yesterday, Sharad Pawar over there, the NCP Supremo, also sitting and watching the live telecast. The amount of people who watched the live telecast on big screens in big, huge gatherings was immense. I think for one complete hour, the entire nation stood still and watched the landing in unison.
They
it
did,
really brought
because
the nation together.
it did bring the nation together. A lot of people were, in fact, I was traveling at that time, and I did see that a lot of people were glued into their mobile phones, all of them keeping a track of what was happening
But
at the place.
there were people who were a little oblivious to what was happening. Take a look at this. Rajasthan Minister louds Chandrayaan 3's passengers. So Rajasthan Sports Minister Ashok Chandna was trolled on Wednesday after a video emerged of him purportedly hailing the passengers on board the lander Vikram moments before the Chandrayaan 3. Congratulations to all the
Passengers who...
all the passengers on board Chandrayaan 3.
See, most politicians would be having, standard reply before knowing, and therefore I think that was just a standard reply.
Isn't it funny?
But yeah, it is out of context completely. Also,
everybody's congratulating ISRO for a soft landing, and
then you have a Rajasthan
sports minister saying that congratulations to all the passengers.
But on a serious note, I was going through a Malayalam Manorama article, and it actually pointed out to the fact that there is a space race between India and China. And, I'll just read a small excerpt of it and then translate it immediately for our viewers as well. This is what it is being, the headline says that, Bahiragashate Balabalam, Indiam, Chinayum, Tamilulladu, Aprakhyabida Malsaram, in the sense that it is an unannounced competition that is there when it comes to space between India and China. And, for me, this is what that particular gist of it comes in this. This is what it says. In Malayalam, I'll just read it fast. Indiam, Chinayum, Tamilulla, Bahiragasha, Malsarum, Uttaram. നാടകീയ നിമിഷങ്ങളാണ് അരങ്ങേറിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. മാത്രമല്ല മത്സരമുണ്ടെന്ന് തന്നെ ഇരുവരും പരസ്യമായി പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കുന്നതുമില്ല. In the sense, what they are saying is that there is a competition, but both of them are not telling that there is a competition. And further down, the writer also says that when you ask Indian scientists, they say that China is exploring the space as it wants, and India has its own goals when it comes to exploring deep space. Essentially, yesterday's moon landing has actually triggered that thing, saying that like the previous Soviet Union and the United States, India and China from Asia is on a competition that is going to be intense, and that competition is going to be something that we are going to see in the coming days. Because, immediately after the success of the landing, you had the Prime Minister making that statement.
Take a look at that. Elon Musk, a lot of international reception to this as well. Elon Musk saying congratulations to India and tagging ISRO over there as well. Of course, we also saw the Russian President Vladimir Putin sending in congratulations. That's Bill Nelson, who's part of NASA, I believe.
Director of NASA.
Director of NASA, who's congratulated India on this stellar achievement. And this one particularly, Ibrahim Mohammed Solih, is congratulating the Prime Minister and ISRO, saying that as a fellow South Asian and as a fellow South Asian nation, we are proud of this historic achievement. Take a look at this. The international reception was so immense, incredible. Congratulations to ISRO and Chandrayaan 3 and to all the people of India. And it certainly was a moment of pride. And like the President put it, Draupadi Murmu put it, she said that this is a momentous occasion. It's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, once-in-a-lifetime event. Things like these happen only once in people's lifetime.
Well, I think that is how the President, in fact, sums up this entire landing as such.
And this propulsion of happiness at the Mission Control Center. The Prime Minister yesterday said this is the victory cry of a developed India. And he was, very prompt.
And he didn't stop at that. He didn't stop at that. When he says the victory cry of a developed India, he said that we are going to go with Aditya L1, we are going to go with a probable Shukrayaan, then we are going to have
Shukrayaan,
Venus. And then he also said that we would be putting a rover on Mangalyaan when it comes to Mars as well. So then, of course, the biggest of all ISRO's challenges, and also a feat that we will be probably in the next decade achieving.
Sheikh Mohammed also congratulating India on that. You were saying.
So I was saying Gaganyaan is going to be that big momentous moment when we will be able to actually send a person to space, and probably that would start that what we call as a crucial space race that we are seeing. But right now, we're seeing a lot of international space agencies willing to cooperate with us.
This picture, Varghese, such an iconic picture. This picture is going to become so historic. It's the first picture after successful, soft landing on the moon. You can see one of the legs of Vikram as well. And I've been saying it again and again that this is nobody else's. This is Vikram Sarabhai's legs. This is Vikram Sarabhai himself, who's finally stepped, touched down, stepped his foot on the ground, on the lunar ground. The shadow of the lander's leg and just the soil, you can essentially see. I mean, I looked at this picture and I kept on staring at this picture for the longest time. And you know what's important to note about this picture is the fact that you can see that the AI system chose a relatively smoother and flatter ground.
Well, that it speaks about our software. And when you speak about the smoother ground, the southern pole is actually completely filled with craters. It is an uneven surface, and it is said to be one of the riskiest places where you could have actually gone for a landing. It is much easier to, in fact, go on these plains on the moon, which is flatter, which doesn't have much of craters to actually land. But we have taken that challenge, and we've been able to go ahead and land at a very precarious spot. This, in fact, is testament to the technology that we have developed as a spacefaring nation.
Absolutely. But also one more thing that we need to talk about is, of course, that of the Pragyan Rover. Now, after, touchdown, when the dust settled, people were waiting that it might even take another day for the Pragyan Rover to come out. But the Pragyan Rover did come out. I mean, by the time I left the studio, when I reached home, I did in fact have news that, the rover has come out. The door opened, and there were several memes of, aggressive Bollywood scenes where they were saying, "Are darwaza to kholo bhai, open the door." Those kind of memes.
You mean to say that the rover was having a FOMO moment because everybody was celebrating the lander?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then finally, the rover did actually come out. There were visuals that came out from the ISRO center in Bengaluru. People were clapping. And there's a picture that's been put out by the Dainik Jagran as well.
Actually, I wanted to ask you how the Hindi papers did
Dakshini
cover it.
Dhruv par utarne wala pehla desh bana Bharat. Rough braking successful, altitude hold kamyab, fine braking successful, terminal descent complete. India is on the moon. ये विकसित भारत की शंखनाद मोदी, war cry of a developed India. दक्षिणी ध्रुव पर उतरने वाला पहला देश बना भारत. लैंडर के रैंप पर आया रोवर प्रज्ञान. This is the picture that has been put out. I'm going to request the control room to, in case we've got pictures of the Pragyan rover, do in fact put that out. And it's important because the Pragyan rover, Varghese, is going to be carrying out those experiments on the ground. The seismic activity, density, the elements that we might just end up finding, the radioactivity of all these elements. That is something that the Pragyan rover is going to carry out with the packages that have been set on that particular.
There's a whole lot of
interesting. 26 kilometers, 26 kilograms heavy,
of weight,
and it uses 50 watts of power. It's got a proper sun panel because that it just comes up, and the solar panel, it just works right through. 14 days of experimentation. It's got a big task cut out for itself.
It has got it's not only 14 days that we have a lunar day that we call, but the fact remains is that it's got a, it's basically, say, it is technically under a lot of pressure to do a lot of work, but it's good science that we are looking at, and probably we are looking for those, ice crystals that we thought is there on the southern part of the moon. We are looking for certain rare earth minerals as well, which we think is abundant. We are looking at helium-3, again possible for using as fuel, and at the same time we are also looking at staging points. So how good is the southern area of the moon when it comes to making it a spaceport for further interplanetary explorations? All that data will be coming through Chandrayaan, and it is not us who's going to keep crunching that data. There's going to be a whole lot of people who are going to crunch that data for us. A lot of space agencies are going to crunch that data for us. And as I was telling you earlier, Kabir, we are looking at collaborations now, and we are also looking at international private space explorers also taking interest in us because of our interesting budgetary schedules that we in fact have. And it looks like this is our moment under the moon.